Okay, we're trying the video version again. We'll see how this goes. Welcome to Echoes of Uncertainty. I am your host, Ubi. Let's get into it. So, last week we talked about purpose, and this week I've been noodling on a couple things, and I think I know what direction I'm going in, but we'll see. We will see. Okay, first I want to talk about community. And do you feel like you have a community? Like I have different communities. I have my gym community, my neighborhood community, my old school friend community. But how do you commune with them? And I feel like saying the word commune sounds very like hippies on a farm in a field, which I'm into. Like let's commune. But also what brings people together? And I think this is sort of, as all my episodes, kind of an evolution of different themes that we've touched upon while sitting here together chatting. And so, oh, I didn't talk about my uncertainty. Okay, Ubi, what is your uncertainty today? Today, I am uncertain I'm uncertain about how I'm showing up in the world, but for the sake of this conversation, I'm uncertain about how I'm communing with the world. Does that make sense? It makes sense to me. I think that's all that matters in this moment. But how do I show up in my community? How do I want to commune with people? Do we see this little cat in the background? For me, I feel like I best show up around food. And I love bringing people together around food. And I don't think that's actually something I've shared on here yet, is how much I enjoy cooking and creating in the kitchen. And so for me, being able to bring people together over a meal is very important. And cooking for my family, providing for my family through food is my ultimate act of service, act of love, service to my community. And probably even a passion. I don't want to get into the word passion because I think there's a lot there that I don't really want to unpack in this moment. And how can I show up in the world, even or for others, around food? Now, you could be thinking, well, Ubi, you can go work at a soup kitchen, you could pack meals for the less fortunate. There's this company or this nonprofit called Slow Food, and they started in Italy, and then there's different factions all over the world. Factions, oh, that sounds very severe. There's different divisions, different chapters all over the world, and their mission is to basically bring small farms or orchards and other ways of creating slow food for underserved, underprivileged communities. And I think that mission is really important, especially with, and again, I'm not really trying to touch on this, but I'm going to say it, on the rhetoric and the propaganda and the research about our quality of our food in the United States. And so I think this concept of slow food, maybe that's the passion. But what do you think? Is slow food the way? And how do you show up for your community? How do you show up for your family? And, ooh, yeah, if you're a family of one, how do you show up for yourself? How do you show up for your pets? How does that work? We call that a cat interruption. And I think it's important to recognize how you may have showed up a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, may not be the best way that serves you showing up, communing today. I very much was that person that showed up to every dinner party, every occasion with a bottle of wine. And now I'm probably showing up with some sort of vegetable. And that's just my personal growing evolution. Which brings me to this idea of what happens when you outgrow your community and why. Okay, no, let's pause there. What happens when you outgrow your community? And if you outgrow it, do you search for a new community? Do you stay for the nostalgia? What keeps people together or keeps people coming back to the familiar? And is it just that? Is it the familiar? I don't know, but I'm curious about it. And then if you are staying purely because it's familiar, purely because it's comfortable in this community that's no longer serving you, are they filling or emptying your cup? Are they sucking or giving you energy? I have a lot of thoughts, and this is my podcast, so I should probably share them. I am finding myself more and more bored of nostalgia, meaning that do I think the early 2000s was the best time to be alive? Abso-freaking-lutely. Do I want to continue to think that that was the glory days and every day can't be as glorious? No, it's a little exhausting. And in how the world is evolving, it's really hard not to just crave that nostalgia, not to want to hear those really angry punk songs and think about partying in a field and not having a cell phone where someone could track me. Like there's all of these things, and I feel like I'm really aging myself right now. There was a reason why this show started as a conversation with lost millennials. But, and how are millennials, how are the generations in general creating new community and creating new space for themselves in a world or in a society that is so stay in your lane? You're a millennial, deal with major world crises and a bunch of failings of other generations and just deal with it. Gen X and Gen Z, I can't speak to them as much because that's not the experience I've lived. But if you can, please share it with me because I want to know how you feel and if you place blame on other generations the way that millennials do. Honestly, I feel like I'm going down a place I don't really want this episode to go. So bringing it back. Anyway, so how are you building new communities and how are you building that new place where you can grow, where you can feel like you're getting your cup filled, where these friends, these people, this community is giving you energy? Let me know. Comment, like, inbox, DM. I think that's what the kids say. The kids. Oh, yeah. Come on, Obi. Other random things that have been on my mind this week. So I'm just going to say this. I am a big supporter of the psychedelic community and other types of psychedelic substances. And Oprah recently came out and said something to the effect of why aren't mushrooms, psilocybin legal, and had a whole conversation in different psilocybin communities that I work in or work with or follow are commenting about how this is huge. Like this might bring the legalization of psilocybin to the forefront. And I was actually more concerned about what is this going to do to the cost and these small microdosing companies that are doing really, really good work for lots and lots of people. Now that a major celebrity, I don't know how much bigger you get than Oprah, has come out and thrown her support behind this. And so I'm curious, taking my mushroom Oprah example aside, can you tell me about how celebrities have either brought really good light to a product or a profession or just a hobby, and also the converse of like what are some negative effects there? Because I think this is gonna change the psychedelic landscape and I'm not sure what direction it's going to change it in, but I'm really curious. I'm really curious how this is going to go and if this is going to affect the cost of mushrooms the way the cost of eggs are getting affected. So, how are you communing in the world? And actually, oh, that's interesting too. Are you communing with substances? And what substances help you show up? Or do you feel work better in your community? I think actually, yeah, you know what? In a future episode, we're going to purely talk about substances because I think that's also super interesting, especially with what's happening and how certain things are getting taxed coming from other places. Again, don't want to talk about politics, but I feel like hitting every facet of life right now. Okay, well, my name is Oopie. This has been Echoes of Uncertainty, and I think I did a really good job at echoing a ton of uncertainties today. Uh, hit like, hit subscribe, join the conversation, and thank you so much.
Echoes of Uncertainty is part of Thrive, 35 EP. This episode, 6 special, thanks to Daniel original air date, 3/14/2025.